I am working with Word 2016, going to a lot of formatting basics. These skills applied, all of them, to earlier versions. I want to highlight this whole line. I triple click in here. It wants you to center this in 18-point bold. I'm on the Home tab. You got the center here, or Control E. I go read things consecutively. Bold, center, 18-point, and I want to make it Arial. There it is. Now we're going to do it a bunch of lines here in Times New Roman here. You could highlight each one separately. I click over here, it highlights a separate line. Or I could highlight all of these at once with the mouse. And then, because everything is going to be Times New Roman. So that saves us time here. And I want to do Times New Roman. To find it, I could scroll down or start typing Times New Roman. It shows it. It's done. So the first line here, I want to make 10-point. I could triple click. 10. This is 10-point Times New Roman. Italic. 10. This is bold italic Times New Roman. Bold italic. 10. This is italic. Read slowly. 12-point. And I want to make this blue. I click next to that red A, and then I find the blue here. That's blue. Again, I'm going to repeat this. I'm going to go make these all Arial. I click here. It shows Arial at the top. If once you put it in there, it shows this, okay? And these first three lines will be 10-point. Taking some shortcuts. You could do lines separately on your own. I'm setting all the font sizes first. So this is 10-point Arial. I want to make this italic. Control I. You got the bold, the italic here. Keyboard shortcut, Control B, Control I. Want to make this italic. Now, I take my mouse. It remembers the blue. Now, next sentence here. We've got a few things going on here. Getting a little more complex. I want subscripts and superscripts here. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to highlight this, make it Times New Roman, shows it at the top, 12-point. Subscript, like H2O. Superscript, pi r squared. I click here. I can click right there. It shows subscript. Superscripts. Here's your little tooltip. And you can remember the Control-Shift plus. If you do that a lot, you might remember it. This one here, 12-point Arial. 12 Arial. I want to highlight it in yellow. It's not a yellow font. That's the font color. I click here. You got the highlighting. I click on the yellow. Next thing I want to do here, I'm highlighting this paragraph, going to it consecutively again. 10-point Times New Roman. 10 Times New Roman. Justified with a 1-point border. Justified means it's even left and right. So everything is even here. You can see it going even with the margin here until you hit the return. I want a 1-point border. I do not need to highlight the paragraph. I'm in the paragraph group on the Home tab. Hit that drop down arrow here. I could use this too, but if I want to adjust thicknesses, I click at the bottom there for borders, and I want a box, half point, and what it wants now is 5% shading. I click on shading. There's different things of doing it here. These are colors. I click here, 5%. It gives a slight preview here. Say OK. So you got that shading. We're going to do this next paragraph here in 12-point Times New Roman. 12 Times New Roman. left align. That's the default, okay? Single spaced. I click on that little double arrow here. This is single spacing. And now what I want to do is a 2¼ point border. I click over here, borders and shading. I'm going to click on box. I want 2¼ I have a nice thick border there. You also have page border. That way, if you want to put a border around a page to make it look pretty. Done. Now, what it wants to do here, you want to indent the first line in 1/2 inch, okay? So to do that, relatively easy, you click on that launcher, that little arrow in paragraph, and then it says indentation. Go under special. First line, typically 1/2 inch. I say okay. That is done. I want this to be 12-point Arial. Shows the Arial again up here. Now I want to right align this. Control R, or we click on the icon. I want 1½ spacing. The arrows, 1.5. We want a red 3-point border. I click on that little drop down arrow here, borders and shading. First thing I do, I click on color, box. Sometimes it doesn't matter what order, sometimes it does. And then I want a 3-point border. It shows a preview here. I say okay. Now this here, I want to make this all uppercase and increase font size. Great feature in case you happen to hold the caps lock on or off. I go over into here, and then what I do, that strike through, I click on this double A here, the double arrow here. You can do a lot of things here. I click on uppercase. I want to make it larger. To the right of the point size, this increases it, this decreases it. So if I click on it once or twice, it makes it all uppercase. It is a larger font. I clicked on it twice. It went from 11 to 14. The more you practice doing these things with the in Word, with the formatting, the quicker it will get. I do recommend using keyboard shortcuts. They are faster.